for Valentine's this year, we want to introduce you to a new ruby red vase that's available from Syndicate Sales. This is the Rosie Posie. It comes in a square version, which is a really great tapered design. Comes in with a good choke at the neck, and then also allows you to really get that spread with your flowers with that tapered base. Comes in the 4-inch and 5-inch. We're going to be using the 5-inch today. We're going to start with our roses and not greening ahead of time. I'm going to come in and come across. So if I look here, I'm going to come in. If I'm less experienced, I'll pull that vase right to the edge of the table. I can come in and utilize my fingers to kind of pinch how long that stem would be, and then come into the vase. And so you can see that it's forming. You might not be able to see real well, but I'm putting them in an X pattern. So rather than tape a grid or use other mechanics to hold my flowers, what I'm doing is creating X's over there through at the middle of the vase, and that's going to create a grid that is going to hold my flowers. Each one comes in over the top of that last portion in the X, and you can see that it's holding very well. At this point, once I have my outer rim done, then I'm going to add some of the foliages in, doing that same technique, coming across the middle. This is really a labor-saving technique, as you're not taking the time to tape a grid on, but you can see really a stunning look. This is a new rose called Explorer that we have here, we're carrying here at Lembush. And it's really kind of a really dark red and a great look. I'm going to use leather leaf as well. I think it's going to come back in fashion a little bit. Comparison to breaking it down so much, utilizing it in that more like green plant like as a longer piece of fern rather than a mechanic. It really becomes an integral part of the design. So I'm not going to break it down so much into smaller pieces, but just utilize that to give me a little bit of variety. I do want to make sure that everybody's practicing good techniques. If you have a leaf that's damaged, make sure and pull that out. You don't want to have the customer take a look at that and wonder if the bug's still in there. So we want to make sure we're practicing great techniques. But you can see now, as I'm coming in, the flowers that I want to be upright go in and stand up upright all on their own because of that great grid that we started with. On something like here, we're adding a textural element like Eryngium, and I've got a couple side breaks. Rather than do it one at a time, I'm going to increase my efficiency on putting that in, putting the couple stems together, and then just feeding them in together. So I lay them together and do one cut and come in across the design. So I was able to break this stem down. I can utilize this up in the middle, and then by those side shoots, I was able to take some of those and bring them down so that we can have them spread throughout the vase. Texture is one of the elements of design that you always should be considering. Another element of design is fragrance, and this is a lavender stem, and we're going to make sure that it's nice and up on top. Do a couple stems together, tier them, and come in so it's right up where the customer comes in and sticks their nose into that design. Great way to come in and add that element of design that people are craving. The next element I'm adding is Alstroemeria, and I'm going to cut that with the clippers because I'm allergic to Alstroemeria, so I cut it with the clippers. You can utilize clippers to cut flowers as well as a knife. Knife is the best practice, But if you are using the clippers, you need to make sure when you're cutting the stem that it's not crushing. Here where I can go, I'm going to come back and I can see I want a little bit more height on here. Come off the table, use my fingers to determine the height, and then you can see that insertion comes right up into the area that I want it to. Alstroemeria is a great item for coverage. Come in with some of our spray roses that we grow here at Len Bush. The spray roses are actually some of the last roses that we have at Len Bush. We really do a lot more importing now, but the spray roses are still successful for us. So we feature those as our product. Now the last thing I'm going to come in, or one of the last things, you can see adding white in. So here I have more of a color tone that's all similar. I have a little bit of the white buttons in, but I'm going to have to be very, very relevant of the placement of white in here because of the strong tint that white gives to a design. It's going to overpower many of the other floral materials, but it captures that light right into the middle of the design. So you can see what a great aspect it adds to our design, adding a little bit of textural element, again with the seeded eucalyptus. And I'm just going to come in one stem, and it's not a very real uniform design. And a little bit of bonsai euc to come in, and that's just going to come out on the rim of this design and just really help to spread it out. I'm coming in across that X and kind of feeding those last insertions in through the grid that I've created with the flowers, but that'll definitely help to lock that in. You may need to come in, put your fingers in and spiral it a little bit. You feed your flowers in one little section at a time with your fingers. But this way you can feel that you've got a very, very strong construction. It's bound into the vase by the flare of the vase and the techniques that we used. This is our square Rosie Posie vase in the ruby color. It's a great new vase, and you can see how easily it makes up into design, gives you a little bit of that lower flare, and a great perceived value. If you like these videos, make sure and subscribe for more tips and tricks.